All right, guys, I need you to stick through with me on this one because I think I may have found the best Warlock build for Final Shape. To get the elephant out the room, yes, this is going to be a solar build, and it's arguably stronger than some solar builds we had last season. The reason I'm not starting with the prismatic build is because we just don't have everything unlocked quite yet, and when I put a prismatic build together, I want it to be the best it possibly can. So if you enjoy this video and want to see my future prismatic builds or just any other build I make, definitely be sure to stick around, and I hope you all enjoy. All right, starting off with our first build of Final Shape, it feels so good to say that we're going to be taking a look at Speaker's Sight. This has the exotic perk, the Lost Voice. Healing grenades spawn a restorative turret. Healing allies occasionally spawns an orb of power. So this is going to be a very supportive base exotic, and the whole build is going to be based around that. You still will be able to do a ton of damage with this build, and that actually is going to play into how we can further help out with the supportive side of the build. But with Speaker's Sight, as it read, you can throw your healing grenade down to make a turret. This turret will sit there and shoot around 5 times. This turret can shoot you, it can shoot your teammates, and every single time it shoots, it will apply cure and restoration. On top of that, if you throw the healing grenade on yourself, it will still also apply the cure to you like normal, and then it will also spawn the turret that can give you restoration or your teammates restoration. Unfortunately, if you throw the healing grenade on yourself, it doesn't give you the restoration, but it's not that big of a deal because normally when you throw the healing grenade down, the turret's going to shoot you immediately because you threw it at your feet. And then on top of all that, every single time you heal an ally with anything in this build, you have a chance to spawn an orb of power. This is a nice little benefit because you're going to be healing people all the time, and this will just further let your teammates get their super faster and play into any armor charge based mods. Now we're going to further play into that with the no hesitation auto rifle. This weapon is extremely strong. It is a support frame, so you can hip fire on your teammates to heal them. If you do heal them rapidly, you will actually get increased weapon damage and also give your teammate restoration. And you have to remember, since you are healing a teammate, this will pair with the Speaker's Sight to make orbs of power, so getting kills with this gun can make orbs alongside also healing your teammates. The other really cool benefit about this is that it can roll with perks like Demolitionist and Incandescent. We're going to talk more about these once we get into our subclass because these synergize extremely well. I do want to mention that this weapon does come with perks to buff the healing that the gun can already do, but with this build specifically, those don't matter as much, and you really want to take things like Incandescent and Demolitionist just the cherry on top. And I would also highly recommend running a free hand grip on this because you can hip fire this gun like crazy, and since there's no minor specs anymore, you can basically just never aim down sight if you don't want to. The gun does have a little travel time, but it's kind of fun in a way once you get used to it, and trust me, this weapon is a ton of fun and just excels at everything with this build. And jumping into the subclass, let's take a look at how everything's going to work together alongside how it will pair with our weapon. First off, we're going to be taking the new aspect, Hellion. So activate your class ability to summon a solar mortar that lobs flaming projectiles at distant targets. Targets damaged by the mortar are scorched. I'm going to be honest with you guys, I wasn't expecting this aspect to be anything crazy, but once I started using it, it is actually very good. Not only does it do a good amount of damage just when it hits an enemy, it can also play into Scorch, which will ignite enemies, and you basically could just have this permanent buddy beside you at all time that can just, you know, randomly kill a single target or just ignite an enemy from time to time. It is very good, and it will also further play into our fragments. Now next up is going to be Touch of Flame. This is going to buff all your grenades. Obviously we're going to be taking healing grenade with this, but what's really cool about Touch of Flame is that cure and restoration that your Speaker's Sight provides will now actually be a ×2 cure and a ×2 restoration for you and your teammates. This is very strong for your survivability, and you're going to be able to spam these everywhere. Now for my other two abilities, first off, I like to take Incinerator Snap. This melee is just very nice. You can kind of treat it like a shotgun. Whenever you snap the ground in front of you, if all the embers hit an enemy, it will actually ignite that target, so it basically can just do melee damage alongside also dealing some extra damage with that ignite. Now next up is going to be Phoenix Dive. You can run a Rift if you would like, but Phoenix Dive is so strong with this because it has a lower cooldown. It can still apply cure to your teammates, which again can make orbs and everything. That's also going to play healing with this build, but with Phoenix Dive, since it does have the lower cooldown, that means you can spam Hellion even more often. Hellion has a 20-second duration, and you're going to be able to get this back so fast with our fragments. That just means you can have this Hellion up literally all the time. Now for your super with this build, I love running Song of Flame. If you want to play more to the support role, you can obviously take Well of Radiance, but Song of Flame is just so good. If you pair this with something like Dragon's Breath, you can straight up shoot a Dragon's Breath, and then you can spam your abilities over and over again to constantly cause ignites that will constantly reload Dragon's Breath, and you could just obliterate almost any boss in the game. Not to mention, Song of Flame is also very strong for ad clear, and if you're near your allies while this is popped, you're not the only one getting benefits, you alongside them are going to get that increased ability regen. You're going to be more resistant to incoming damage, and your solar and kinetic weapons will scorch. So this can also just further buff your auto rifle that you are using to apply scorch, and you can make things ignite even more. Again, the super's up to you, but I would highly recommend giving Song of Flame a try, especially paired in with Dragon's Breath. And then next up is going to be our fragments. First off, we're going to be taking Ember of Singeing, so your class ability recharges faster when you scorch targets. This is where things like Incandescence is going to come into play, so when you get a kill with that auto rifle, you can spread scorch around, and now your class ability is going to charge faster, which just means you can spam Hellions even more. What's cool about Hellion is since that can also apply scorch, once you use your class ability is technically applying scorch, so you're just getting your cooldown back for using your cooldown. This paired with Incandescent, you're just always going to have your class ability back at all times, which is very strong not only for the Hellion, but again, it can also apply Cure to you and your teammates, which will obviously heal you, and you can also make orbs with Speaker's Scythe. Everything can just loop back around and synergize so well. And speaking of healing, our next fragment is going to be Ember of Benevolence. So applying Restoration, Cure, or Radiant to allies grants increased grenade, melee, and class ability regeneration for a short duration. You're obviously going to be applying Restoration and Cure with everything in this build, but the really cool part about this is that the healing from No Hesitation can also proc Ember of Benevolence. So you have your weapon on demand that can proc this, and you're going to get insane ability cooldown paired with everything else that we're going to go over, and with all that, you're just going to be able to spam abilities all the time. Now, our next fragment is going to be Ember of Empyrean. So solar weapon or ability found on blows extend the duration of restoration and radiant effects applied to you. Since you are going to be getting ×2 restoration from your healing turret, this is just going to be a nice way to extend it to make you pretty much unkillable. And in our artifact, we also will be able to apply radiant, so you're going to have this damage buff up at all times, and it's going to feel just like it did last season. And then for our final fragment, we're going to have Ember of Searing. So defeating scorched targets grants melee energy and creates a fire sprite. You can already see where this is going. Since your Hellion and your weapon can apply scorch to enemies, this just means every time you kill them, you're going to get melee energy now. And what's really cool about this is that it also makes a fire sprite, and if you pick that fire sprite up, you'll be granted grenade energy. So with all that, everything looped together, you're obviously going to be scorching everything on the battlefield. When you're defeating scorched targets, you're getting melee energy. When you scorch a target, you're getting class ability energy. When you defeat scorched targets, you're getting grenade energy with the fire sprite. And then on top of all of that, you're also getting demolitionist for more grenade energy. And then Benevolence is literally buffing all three of those abilities just whenever you heal someone. And when you heal people, you make orbs. So you can start to see just how crazy everything is combining and how strong this build can be. Now, if we jump into our artifact, there are going to be some perks that can help out with this build. First up is going to be Winning Hand. This basically is just going to give your No Hesitation Dragonfly. But what's really cool about this, as you can see, it also works on rapidly defeating combatants. So it just adds another explosion. So you have this and Incandescent. You can just blow a lot of things up. Next up is going to be Elemental Siphon. So whenever you get a kill with a kinetic weapon or a weapon that matches your super type, you can actually make an elemental pickup. So this just means more fire sprites now. Pairing that with Ember of Searing, you're going to get even more grenade energy. It's very, very nice. Next up is Radiant Orbs. This is what I was talking about earlier. Whenever you pick an orb up now, you become Radiant. With Ember of Empyrean, you can extend that Radiant, and just picking up an orb also can just give you Radiant again. So you're always going to have Radiant, and you're always going to have Restoration. And then for the final artifact perk, the one that really matters is Shield Crush. So whenever you are Radiant, you will actually gain increased grenade recharge rate. It also increases damage, but you're not really worried about the damage since you're running a healing grenade. But you will get increased grenade recharge rate, and since you're going to be Radiant all the time, this again is just passive grenade regen with your fire sprites and with demolitionist. So again, you can now spam your class building melee and grenade literally all the time. And again, that just means you're going to heal your teammates all the time alongside doing a bunch of damage. Now for stat distribution, I would highly recommend 100 resilience and then 100 discipline, because you want to have that damage reduction, and you also want to be able to spam your grenade as much as possible. I would then highly recommend going into recovery so you can get your Phoenix salve back a lot faster, since these are going to be your two main ways to heal your teammates alongside your weapon. This just means you can do it a lot more often now, and you can spam them even more. But now let's jump over into armor mods, and if you all would like to see an in-depth breakdown of this build, be sure to head over to Mobalytics. I will have everything linked below, and you can check it out over there while I go over it in the video. All right, starting off with the helmet, I do like to take a Harmonic Siphon so I can make orbs of power on a rapid solar weapon final blows. This is nice for your No Hesitations. Your healing can make orbs, and now your gun kills can also make orbs. I also like to take a heavy ammo finder. You can honestly swap this out for anything that you want to. If you're going into a raid, you can obviously take a heavy ammo finder and a heavy ammo scout, but the other one I like to take is Dynamo. So whenever I use my class building your targets, I will get some super energy. You want to spam your super a lot with this build, and since you can spam your class ability all the time, you're going to be getting a ton of energy. You could potentially swap out heavy ammo finder for things like hands-on, since you can also throw your melee a lot if you would like to do that, but it's up to you. these will work just fine. Now for our arms, I do like to take a harmonic loader so I can reload my no hesitation a lot faster. This weapon alone right here already has such high reload speed. The stats on it is absolutely crazy, and pairing this with a reloader, it's disgusting. It is just so fun to use, especially with that hip fire. Now for my other two mods are impact induction and focusing strike. So whenever I cause damage with a melee attack, I will refund my grenade and class ability. This is nice because again, you're going to be spamming your abilities all the time, so this just further plays into that. And I know we don't really invest into strength that much, but trust me, with Ember of Searing, you're going to be getting your melee back all the time anyway. Don't really even need to put points into it. And now for your chest piece, always go with resistant mods. Just be sure to swap these out for whatever content you're going into. And now for our boots, I do like to take a recuperation, a better already, and an innervation. This is just nice to have for extra survivability. This paired with the amount of healing that you're getting, you're pretty much going to be unkillable, especially when you're picking up orbs, and orbs will also get you radiant. But on top of that, with innervation, you can also get grenade energy back when you pick up orbs, which again means more healing turrets. So all this is just based around survivability. Now, if you're in a raid scenario, you can obviously swap these out for surge mods if you want to do that, and I would also highly recommend that you do that. But if you're just playing on a day-to-day basis, these are extremely strong and you are just pretty much unkillable. And then finally for our class item, I do like to take a bomber because again, you can spam your class ability all the time. This will give you more grenade energy. And then powerful attraction, you can pick up orbs around you whenever you use your class ability. This is nice for proccing your boot mods and also giving you radiant as well with your artifact perk. Proximity ward, so whenever I go for a finisher, I will get an overshield. This one's up to you. I personally just like taking this one because I play way too aggressive, and having that overshield is nice if I need to go for a finisher. But Reaper's also good. Distribution, all these are very good. It's up to you. And again, if you are playing into surge mods, you can swap this out for a time dilation so you get more time on that damage buff. And then for the most important part of the build, this is the transmog I'm running if you like to copy it down. I ended up getting the new ornament for the speaker mask, and I bought the new D&D armor set. I think it turned out looking pretty sick. It's clear that we're going for like a demonic fire mage here, and the build definitely lives up to that, but also just with a little touch of support that can help further increase that killing power. All right, I think that's going to do it all for me. Let me know what y'all think about this build in the comments below. This is the first build for Final Shape, and like I said in the beginning, I will have prismatic builds coming out soon. Before I put anything out, I want to get a good grasp on everything alongside also just unlocking everything. So for now, I hope this build can suffice. I promise you this is going to be one of the best Warlock builds in the entire game, and this is also what I'm going to be taking into the day one raid when it comes out. Anyways, though, I wish you all the best of luck on putting this build together for yourself. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope you're enjoying Final Shape, and I hope you all have a great day. Peace.